Hey guys, it's your best boxing friends. I'm Kelsey. This is Rachel. Is that what they say?
UFC edition.
Hey, let's talk about Jon Jones, Rachel.
I went on to the internet this morning.
The interwebs.
And saw, I looked up boxing news and then UFC news. And what came up on...
That's an interesting thing you did.
on UFC was that, yeah, there were all these, all these search results about Jon Jones. So if you don't know, tell us if they don't know about Jon Jones.
Yeah, so he was arrested for alleged drunk driving. He had some similar issues in the past in his life. The story I made up when I heard the news was like, oh yeah, of course that happened because this is a really stressful time. Mm-hmm. And when stressful things happen, as a person coming from an addiction in my own life and then the people surrounding me in my life and coming from that community, yeah, this is a hard time. If somebody has an addiction problem or any kind of history of that kind of stuff, this is going to be a really hard time for them, and so it didn't surprise me.
Yeah, and what I saw and what I didn't like is I saw a whole bunch of things, and easily half of them were kind of we're in a slow news time. There's no sporting events going on, and people kind of jumped on this they were ravenous wolves to be let's jump on this guy while he's down, and I'm not excusing anything that somebody does. Driving while drunk is dangerous for the driver and for other people on the road. There are people who have lost loved ones to drunk driving. So I'm not excusing that. But just because I'm not excusing it doesn't mean that I can't also recognize
it's an ugly
some of these shallow attacks on somebody who is obviously has a struggle with something.
Yeah, and it's almost like a celebratory attack. It's I'm glad that this happened so that I can attack this person because they seem to have this issue, and I don't understand that. I don't get that, and then
it's just I'm disappointed, and especially because. So you talked about this is a difficult time that we're all experiencing across the globe. This is a global crisis that we're in. And rather than people show love, I just saw people jump on this as an opportunity to jump on and show hate. And it was just
it's such a weird thing,
disappointing.
And it's a weird thing if we make up a story of addiction. Addiction, we're taught, is a disease, but then we're going to lash out at people for having issues with, you see what I'm saying? It's a weird thing. I don't want to get into that.
I will point out that, it's not like everybody has those same things. So, the people who are jumping on, attacking him, in this moment, may not have the, mindset that, alcohol, drug, that addiction is a disease, is what I'm saying.
Well, they clearly...
Some people see it as a lack of character. They see it as weakness in people.
I don't have all the details, but let me give you details about Jon Jones, because I did have an experience with Jon Jones recently, right?
Yeah, because you covered UFC
247, his last fight. Let me tell you something about Jon Jones while everybody else is talking about all these other things about Jon Jones. Jon Jones is one of the genuinely kindest people I've ever met in my life as a sports reporter. I've covered events everywhere. I've covered boxing for 10 years. I've spent a lot of time with these people, and I can tell you that here he is, one of the biggest stars in the UFC. And I'm standing next to this guy, and I was like, man, I'm going through my own journey, and I was like, well, I guess I'll just tell Jon Jones that this means a lot to me. I was grateful to be there because, again, I come from addiction, right? It was a big deal for me to not be dead and to me be ringside, and for it to be Jon Jones, because when I got into covering UFC over the last few years, I could see in Jon Jones' history some similar things, and I was like, oh, so I'll just tell him, never know how this is going to go, right? And I'll tell you that he was so, open and kind to me, a person he doesn't know. There's no cameras on him. Nobody sees this thing, right? He wanted to hug me. He hugged me, we talked about whatever. And then here's the thing. And this was 3 days before the fight. That happened. And then, like, we went about our thing. Well, every time he would walk by me, he would go out of his way to, like, make eye contact with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't just ignore or whatever. Like, and he could have done whatever. And then on top of that, after his fight, after he goes and fights this 5-round war with Dominique Reyes, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I gotta drive back home with my wife.
Card after the press conference.
I'm walking out. I'm like, fine, I gotta leave because it's taking a while, and I don't have anything to write about it after the press conference. I don't really need to be there. I was just gonna be there because I think it's respectful and wanted to be in the room again to hear him talk. Anyway, we end up like running right into each other. He's walking. He's got a suit on. This is before as he's walking to the press conference. His family's around him. He's all beat up, and I'm with this other guy that we're trying to just make our way out. We walk by him. Anyway, he stops me. Like, he remembers me. Gives me another hug, you know what I mean? And like, I have covered combat sports for a long time. I have been around people. I have helped people. If I worked for Bleacher Report and they were coming up, got them publicity, did my best for these people, that as soon as they were in a position of high, let's say that was higher than me, totally forgot who I was, forgot my name. And here I was, the biggest star in the UFC, one of the biggest stars in the world, sporting stars in the world, went out of his way to treat me like a human being, a person he doesn't even know. He doesn't know who I am or who I am. It wasn't that. It was just him being kind to a person who I guess he saw needed that kindness for just being a good, kind person. So I think, like, if you're gonna blast Jon Jones for whatever little thing, then I think that at least acknowledge that he's got many qualities.
Yeah, he's a multifaceted
many
human being.
And some of
like all human beings are. So.
Qualities that I've observed in person are some of the better qualities that a human being can have.
Yeah. And so, and just to point out that also the people that I see who are taking this opportunity to attack him, they are also multifaceted human beings who are learning and growing. And so I want to put that out there. And then just to wrap this up, if I could point out anything, is that it's okay to express love and compassion for somebody without condoning their behavior. So trying to understand why Jon Jones maybe has reoccurring similar like issues doesn't mean that we condone the behavior. And both those things can exist. You can, show love and compassion and recognize that the behavior is not okay. And so, yeah, that's what I got.
Well, I'm, just grateful that you guys would spend some time with us. This wasn't about boxing today, okay? But Jon Jones is a big star. We happen to have this story that I hadn't really talked about.
Well, I was moved this morning when I saw
Rachel brought it, so I was like, let's talk about Jon Jones. Because I did want to share that little bit of
your
what
story
I experienced,
of what you met.
especially right now when everybody's taking pot shot in the guy, I just think it's dumb.
Yeah.
Don't be dumb. Be smart. Like, comment, and subscribe. What other boxing show are you also going to talk about randomly? The UFC. This one. That's why you should like, comment, and subscribe.